Greetings, love posse. Desire. Desire drives us. In my video, Death is Not the End, I shared with you my desire to heal the death trauma, to heal my death trauma, my desire to understand the change called death. You see, it was because of that desire I was connected to my destiny to become a soul guide. So desire and destiny are linked. We have this conditioning out there that desire causes suffering. And in my training and in my studies, especially of the Buddhist tradition, the Buddhists teach that desire causes suffering. And suffering meaning a craving for pleasure, material goods, and immortality. Why suffering of those things? It's because they can't be satisfied. You can understand this from your own personal experience. We experience pleasure and we want more pleasure because we're not satisfied with the pleasure that we have, right? We buy goods, right? Cars, houses, clothes, gadgets, and we're not satisfied, so we continue to consume and consume and consume, right? And immortality, right? We have people who unconsciously believe, unconsciously chase this desire to live forever. Death is not optional, so we cannot satisfy that desire. Therefore, from the Buddhist perspective, desire from those three aspects causes suffering. So that desire causes suffering has been our conditioning. There are both positives and negatives to desires. There are both balanced experiences with desire and imbalanced experiences with desire, right? This idea of bad and good is a perspective. It's a standard that we've created. There is no bad or good. Healthy or unhealthy, I like to say, balanced or imbalanced. Even positive or negative perspective, but there is both. These different experiences with desire. But desire is born through us. Desire is within us. It's something we can't remove. We can't get rid of. We can't kill desire, right? Most people try to suppress desire because they are afraid of desire. They're afraid to have these desires that the world considers bad or wrong, right? However, desire persists. And the healthy, conscious thing is to just be aware of the desire, and as the Buddhists teach, to be detached from desire, not stuff it, resist it. That's not detachment. Detachment is having an awareness of the desire and the root of the desire, and then making a choice. Do I pursue this desire, or do I not pursue this desire? You see, desire doesn't have to control us. Once we are aware of it and we acknowledge it, right? We can form a relationship with it. We can have this loving relationship with it as opposed to a fear relationship with desire, right? The loving relationship to desire is acceptance, right? Detachment also means acceptance, awareness of and accepting. See, once we accept that desire is within us and will always be with us and drives our lives, right, creates our destiny, we can make conscious choices about our desire, right? We can allow our desire to be birthed in a healthy way in our lives. We can channel our desire in a healthy way. As I mentioned, from my example of the desire to heal the death trauma, I've had other desires, right? I've had the desire to become an attorney, and I chose to follow that desire, right? Channel that desire, that urge, and I became an attorney, right? And I will share with you, I had a desire to experience beautiful, playful, exciting, right, spiritual orgasms. And at first, my unconscious mind, because of my religious conditioning, right, brought up shame. And that's what happens when we see desire as bad or good. It evokes shame. That's why it is not healthy to suppress our desires. So the desire to experience spiritual orgasms, as I mentioned, evoke this shame. And instead of staying in a place of shame, I followed that shame, right? I then had a desire to know where that shame came from. And in being aware of the shame, I began to accept the shame as an experience, but not as something that said I was a bad person. So our desires can lead us to growth. That desire of wanting to experience a spiritual orgasm led to the shame, which led to growth, healing the shame, accepting the shame, acknowledging the shame, processing the shame, learning to be detached from the shame. Right? We can't get rid of the desire. So we can follow the desires that are healthy, that help us to grow, that lead us to our destiny. And that includes our desire for spiritual orgasms, our desire to experience things that the world says are horrible or goes against the divine, right? Like my desire to understand my preference for women. Again, I shamed myself. And again, I had the consciousness and the awareness to know that I had to follow that shame. Where did it come from? I had to accept that desire that came from that shame, that desire to be with women, to know myself. So I chose my personal desire over the desire of society to fit in, right? To follow what society believes is righteous or true or good. I followed my personal desire. And you may have to do that. There may be a time where a situation comes up where you have to look at your personal desire and your desire to fit in with society and decide which is more important. For me, it's my personal desire because I have already experienced trying to fit in to the desires of the world, of being who the world wants me to be, having the things the world tells me I have to have. You see, that's when we find ourselves in this place believing that desire causes suffering or desire is bad. It's just a different perspective, right? That's all it is. It's distorted thought and consciousness. Having desires is nothing to be afraid of. There are positives and negatives. The desire is not what's painful. It's having a desire and not having that desire satisfied or being met. That's where the pain comes in. Right? The truth of this world is that all of our desires will not be met. So the spiritual practice is getting to a place where you're able to accept that you will not get everything that you want for whatever reason. Not that you did something bad, not that you are a horrible manifester, right? It is what it is. But I wanted you to know, Love Posse, that desire drives us. You know, in the Iroquois tradition, there's a belief that the soul has urges, desires, and that if we do not satisfy, pursue these urges or desires of the soul will make us sick, causing us depression or physical illness or sadness. We must pursue our desires. In a conscious way. Becoming aware of our desires, not having an attachment to them, accepting our desires, then making a choice. Which of these desires are meaningful for me? Which of these desires are healthy? Help me to grow, right? Which of these desires are expansive, right? Do not cause harm to the earth, to myself, to other people. We must pursue our desires. That expand us. You know, I'm 53 years old, so I've become an adult at a time where women have been conditioned to forsake their desires for the desires of their male partners, even the desires of their children. Women have been conditioned that their desires are unimportant, not valuable or worthy, not pursuing. If you are in a relationship where you are forsaking your desires for that of your partner, it will create resentment. It will kill you. It will harm your soul. Not pursuing our desires can destroy us. Not pursuing our desires are not in alignment with our connection, with our destiny, and with the universe. Because our desires drive us. Our desires create our experiences in life. Right? Remember being a child and having the desire to become a teacher, a police officer. Are you a teacher today? A policeman? Some of you, the answer may be yes. Some, the answer may be no. And that's because our desires change, are amended. There are some desires we no longer want to pursue because we are forever evolving. A desire that we had as a child may not be the same desire we have at 53 or at 20, 35, 80. But Love Posse, I wanted you to know, desire drives us. There's no need to be afraid of our desires. There's no need to have the perspective that desires are wrong or bad. Right? Look at it. These desires lead me to my destiny, help me to grow, are meaningful. These desires don't do any of those things. You can choose. So there's no need for fear, right? As for pain, know that it's a fact. That we experience pain when our desire is unmet. But then you also have a choice. Not to be attached to that pain, not to identify with that pain, not to see it as pain, to have a different perspective, to be the watcher, right? Observing yourself, experiencing the pain and seeing that you are different from the pain, that you're not the pain. Another practice. If you're afraid of your desires. Begin to notice your desires. When a desire arises within you, watch that desire. See where it goes, the energy, the thoughts, right? Notice how it feels in the body. Have a relationship with the desire, which will help to lessen the fear. Begin to accept it, that it's a part of you and will always be a part of you. Desire drives us. Desire drives us. Thank you for your time. Love Posse. I so enjoy our time together. If you found this content helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also, please check out my books. Tap That 2, Healing the Death Trauma. Tap Tap Tracy's Hair, God Made It Special. And Tap That. Know that you are loved. I love you. The divine loves you. Namaste. Namaste.